We're back as I pop into the screen here. Canadian Bowler Podcast. What's going on, Daryl?
Hey Luke, what's going on, man?
Oh, not too much. Happy to be back. Obviously, the better looking part of the Canadian Bowler is back today in myself. But it's great to be back. What's new with you, Daryl?
Oh man, weather's changing for the better. Some weird, strange hail came yesterday in Ontario, at least around where I was. So that was a little strange, but grass is growing, plants are starting to bloom. It's looking really nice. Unfortunately, we're still in a lockdown, as you know, but from what I hear around, some clubs in other areas of the country might be opening soon, which is kind of exciting.
Yeah, that's pretty exciting for sure. I guess before we get started, today is a little bit of a special day, with today being Mother's Day. So happy Mother's Day to all the moms out there.
Happy Mother's Day.
And while we're on that topic, Daryl, how much longer do you guys have before you become parents?
We're counting weeks and days now. It's coming up really, really soon. May 30th was the date we were given, so give or take, could be any day now. It's the anxiety is at a high for me, I guess, and especially my wife, but it's coming.
Exciting news. And what that means for the podcast is, I guess, I'm going to have to give Daryl the boot for a couple of weeks anyway, so he can go enjoy new parenthood. And Michael Patulli is going to step in and fill in Daryl's massive shoes, and we'll see how that goes anyways. Right, Mike? Anyways, sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, Mike's in the chat. I mean, he didn't like your comment about you being the best looking host of the show, but...
Oh, well. Anyways, before we get started, the regular stuff, guys, remember to like, subscribe, comment, share with all your friends. Hit that little notification bell down below so you get notifications anytime a video gets posted or we go live. We really do appreciate it. We're at 617 subscribers on YouTube, well on our way to that 1,000 subscriber goal. And don't forget, if you can't listen to the whole podcast, or you tune in late, or you want to share the podcast with somebody, we're also available on all major podcast platforms, including Apple Podcasts and Spotify. We're out there. Those downloads have actually been going pretty well for us. Thanks to everyone for the support on that. We appreciate it.
Absolutely. For those of you, those likes and those subscriptions are free. They let you know when we go live. They mean so much to us. And we appreciate every single one of you that has supported the show so far. So thank you very much.
Yes, absolutely. All right, Daryl, let's talk North American Challenge.
All right. North American Challenge 2021 has been canceled. It's official now. The article went up on Bowls Canada, I think, this week. Links to everything that we talk about can be found in the description below, so feel free to click on those and see the articles and other information that's there, if you want to know more. But yeah, the North American Challenge was canceled. I don't think it was a surprise to anybody. With the state that Canada and the US are in right now with the pandemic, lockdowns kind of rotating through every province and every state, and different things happening, it just didn't seem right that North American Challenge would take place this year.
Yeah, it's too bad. I mean, the North American Challenge is always one of those great fun events for young bowlers and maybe people who don't get quite that big shot to be on the stage, like World Bowls or Commonwealth Games, just because the event has so many more players that are eligible to play in it. So it's fun. It's fun for that stuff, and it's always fun. The Americans are nice people to play against. They're always a good time, and just representing your country is always fun.
Yeah, for those that don't know, the North American Challenge was kind of created, and it's really not that long ago. It kind of seems that long ago because there's been so many iterations of it, but North America doesn't have that many competitions, and not many we don't have any other World Bowls sanctioned events. So North American Challenge is the one that we have where Canada and the US can compete. Pardon me. We have to fly other places to get any really other major competition, like BPL's down in Australia, UBC's down in Australia, WBT is over in the UK. there's not much here, and North American Challenge at least gave US and Canada a chance to have a competition like that, get a national team together to compete against each other and at least test between ourselves how we're doing and how things are going, and get a sense for that high level play that we just don't see at our national championships per se, where Canadians are playing against Canadians, Americans are playing against Americans. We at least get that international feel to it. And like Luke said, the U.S. is awesome to play against. There are a lot of nice people, and just like everything else sports related in the United States, they are ultra competitive. So it's always a battle. They always want to win. We always want to beat them. So it's that friendly competition that really makes it special, I think.
Yeah, I think for me, just my favorite part of it is like I said before, just like the development side of it, because Canada or US have the opportunities to maybe not send their necessary like their A team if those players have already been away for one or two things during that course of the year where they're all their holiday times all spent or they can't make it work or whatever. So it's nice to see the young guys or the people on the development squad get a chance to play, because I know myself being on the development team for a number of years, it's kind of tough watching and waiting, never knowing when you're going to get your number pulled to get to go play something. So it's a nice opportunity for those people. And I know sometimes they even pull people that aren't involved in the national program but are interested in the national program. So it's kind of a good look into that window for those athletes as well.
That's absolutely right. Luke's been a part of it. I've been a part of it, and I know there's hopefully a number of people watching that have been a part of it. For me, it was even though it wasn't the same as, like, say you go to a Commonwealth Games or you go to a World Bowls where the atmosphere is just incredible. You've got huge competition. You're playing against the top bowlers that you've seen around the world, and you're at that top level. It is still such a meaningful event for especially for us Canadians, and I'm going to assume for the US as well, that you get that taste of competition. You get to put that Canadian maple leaf on your back, or the stars and stripes if you're in the US, on your back, and play for your country, and have competition and have trophies, and get that taste of what it really feels like. And I'll tell you, personally, having been a member of the team and having played with different people, Luke was on, because the teams are split into two. Luke was on one team, I was on another. Just being able to spend the time with people across Canada that I don't get to see, with your teammates, making friendships, building those bonds, sharing in the love of the sport, it was incredible, and it was always one of my favorite experiences because it was just such a friendly atmosphere. You got some really great bowls being played, and yeah, there's nothing like putting the maple leaf on your back. That's for sure.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. There's nothing like it. I mean, that was my first international event. I think that was my first one. And I mean, I know it's not like a super serious event, but I was out there playing like I was playing at the Commonwealth Games. So I mean, for me, it was just as important as anything else.
I have a question for you. For those that don't know, the format is a little strange, and the scoring system is like something out of the Matrix. For me, it was impossible to understand. I tried reading it. I tried understanding how all the mathematics went into points and wins and switching groups, because there's two groups of players that kind of play. I kind of gave up. I just kind of asked, "Hey, where are we, and what do we need to win, or what do we need to do in this game?" And then just left it at that. But do you think it might be an opportunity to shake things up and look to refresh the North American Challenge?
Yeah, 100%. Whether it be format change or number of athletes or whatever, I think even if they don't change anything and they just go straight up wins losses, it'll be easier for everybody. I think it would also be interesting for them to do more stuff with it. Like I know we talk about it in the past with having things like show matches going on. So it'd be cool if they had like, I don't know, because like there's not a whole lot that goes on around the North American Challenge. There's usually not a whole lot of I don't know, publicity around it. It's kind of like low key for the most part. I know when we played in it in Canada, it was streamed live. I think it'd be cool if they had like some sort of show match or something cool going on, fun stuff. Like who knows, right? Make it more exciting. Um, yeah, I don't know what format change I need, but I think it's definitely time. I don't know how long the NAC's been around for, but I'm assuming it's been the same since it started.
Yeah, I think you're right. Ryan Static in the chat there was saying the NAC needs to be revamped, more of a Ryder Cup feel. I, you're not wrong. I'm with Luke here. I don't know what the format should be. That's definitely a discussion that will probably happen at the top levels with Bulls USA and Bulls Canada. But for us who've been in it and played in it, regardless of the format, it's a much needed thing for North America. We need something. The US especially, because they're not part of the Commonwealth, so they don't get say the Commonwealth Games, they don't get those test matches and those multi-nations events where a lot of other countries do. So having that extra competitive international kind of event for the US probably means even more than it does in Canada, and I think it means a lot for us here. John Simon, I would tend to agree. Some stuff in the format could be very similar to the World Bulls Challenge, one that is Ryder Cup style. Yeah, I mean, I would love to have more of a discussion about this. I'm thinking we may spin this into an After Dark topic and get some people on to really dig deep into the NAC, get some history, and then have a discussion about where do you think it should go.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. The only other question that I think I have for you, Daryl, regarding the NAC is I always thought it was interesting that they did it biannually, and I think it's totally something they could do annually. Have it run every year. I know there's a busy schedule, but like we said in the past, it's not necessarily the top teams from each country going to this event. So I think it could totally run annually if it was in the budget for Canada and the United States.
I would agree. If there's a revamp, I know one of the major issues around the NAC, and this is me talking from being on the high performance committee and coach trying to select some of these players. Having so many players go was extremely tough. We've got players going to, let's say, Commonwealth Games and World Bowls where they also work. So we can't expect them to go to a World Bowls event, try to be in the Canadian Nationals, and do an NAC and do whatever else. So there was a lot of our senior squad that couldn't go. Some of them would. Our development squad would. A lot of them would jump at the chance to go. The youth squad would definitely jump at the chance to go. But then there's always that chance that you have some spots that you need to fill, and that is a nightmare trying to figure out outside of the program, outside of all the selection, how do you fill those spots?
Yeah,
It's just a lot of players.
yeah, I agree with you on that. Obviously, I've never been part of the selection committee or anything along those lines, but I could totally see them moving to a five men, 5 women team instead of 10 and 10. I could see that being a thing, but like we were just saying, there'd have to be some sort of format change because if it was the same format, it'd be over in a day. And what would be the point, right? Like, because you only play what is it, 4 games anyways,
Yeah, true.
and a final, five games. So if they were going to do that, I don't think that format would work because you would just play against one team in 3 different events, and that would be it. So.
No, I think you're right. Format change, number of players change, and you could probably make it an annual event. Something that, and also give something in North America to be promoted, to be up there that's exciting and fresh and interesting for everybody to watch and everybody to look at and say, hey, these are our next champions. These are our next international players. Come and take a look at them before they get to that international stage. See what they have to offer, and make it that exciting event that people just want to watch.
Yeah, I think I can totally agree with you on that, Daryl. But I think we should save that for the After Dark episode.
Fair enough.
So, if you're listening and you have lots of thoughts on that, maybe you will be reached out to and invited onto the show.
Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly right. I guess on the topic of bowls in North America, what do you think about the new inclusivity, whatever is going on with the Belonging in Bowls campaign? Daryl, I'll let you lead that because I'm not really 100% confident. So it's all you.
It's a new campaign launched by Bowls Canada. We've said on the show before that we want to promote bowls. We want to promote good things in bowls. We want to promote things that you guys, whether you're just players, whether you're club leaders, provincial leaders, even international leaders, where we can dispense some stuff to say, hey, there's these programs out there that you guys can take part of or take a look at that may help you in promoting the sport wherever you are. We want to do that. So Bowls Canada has rolled out Belonging in Bowls. They just did that this week, kind of like some of the other news articles that came out. It's a program that is meant to give structure and meaning to having bowls clubs in Canada. This is geared towards Canadian clubs. Get certification as a Belonging in Bowls club so that people know and you can advertise that you are following safe sport guidelines, that you're an inclusive club, that you're a positive club, that you're trying to put your best foot forward in making the club a safe, inclusive, diverse, and friendly place to be for new people and returning bowlers. I will say this, and Luke, you can say, because I had you read through it the other night. It is a complex document. It isn't always super intuitive, I would say. I think clubs will need help. I think clubs will need some guidance and to look at it and say, hey, what are we doing? What are we not doing? What do we need help with? But I urge everybody to take advantage of it. Let me see if I can throw this up on our screen. See if that worked.
Headset's dying. One moment, please.
No
Okay,
problem.
we're back.
So, Belonging in Bowls. There is this document, and as you can see, the ultimate goal is to be a Belonging in Bowls accredited club, so you get accreditation for it. The base is safe sport. Okay, you're following safe sports guidelines. You're providing a safe space for people to play. You're basically saying that I've done everything I have as far as the government's concerned, the sport's concerned, Bowls Canada is concerned, to make our club a safe sport club. Then there's a bunch of pillars that go off of that, where it's accessible sport. So you want to make the sport accessible. There's a bunch of information on that. Club development, so social media, marketing, promoting your club, all that kind of stuff. There's a club development piece, there's a marketing piece, and then diversity and inclusion, making the club a more diverse, inclusive, fun, inviting place to be. Like, make people want to come to your club, make people want to stay there and be part of the community and grow. Right? We see too many clubs going the opposite way. We want to push people in and say, hey, this is a great sport. It's safe, it's fun, it's good for kids, it's good for adults, and it's good for those seniors that are out there that are looking for something to do. So I think that's the high level talk that I can give. There's a bunch of stuff on the Belonging in Bowls website. It's in the description below. Take a good look at it if you're interested. I think it's a really good program to go through if you're a club. Some clubs are doing a lot of this stuff. Some clubs aren't doing any of it. And I really, really urge, especially those leaders of clubs, to go and take a look at it and see what they can find.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea. Like I was saying to you earlier, Daryl, it does seem a touch confusing to me. I mean, I didn't read that whole PDF. I just read the whatever that was on the blog post.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know too much about it, but I think it's a good idea. Obviously, promoting the sport is tough, and the whole inclusivity thing is interesting to me because we had a conversation last night when we were watching the fights with Mike Batuli about how the code of conducts and stuff can get tricky, which is absolutely right. Um, the example that was given was if there's somebody who has a legitimate alcohol problem, like they're a legitimate alcoholic and they have to drink or else they're going to have health issues, which is unfortunate. But what do you do for someone like that? Do you turn them away because your club says you can't show up under the influence of alcohol? But then the backlash to that is a lot of clubs have a liquor license and can sell alcohol. So then people at the club are going to be under the influence of alcohol. Just stuff like that, I think gets tricky. But I think this whole program is a very, very good idea and can definitely be helpful.
Yeah, and I think you're absolutely right. One thing that a lot of people need to understand is you need to have some expert help. You need to have guidance. You can't just go out there and throw a bunch of stuff together and hope it sticks. Check with your provincial associations, check with Bowls Canada, give them contact, get some help, and you can really make this program work for you. You're not going to be able, I personally don't think you're going to be able to just truck it alone and be okay. Like the point you said, like code of conducts are tricky. We've had one at our club. We've had to enforce it, and it's not always easy. You want to make sure the wording is really good. You want to make sure that what you're saying to people, like, you know, it's basically like, you know, don't be a dickhead kind of a document.
For sure.
But you have to be really good with the words. You have to be really careful with how you put stuff together because it can get tricky.
Especially in today's society with everything going on with social justice or whatever you want to call it, you do definitely have to be tricky what you do say and don't say, I guess. Now it can definitely get interesting.
So some interesting things in chat. Fortunately, there are a lot of things that clubs are already started thinking about because of the pandemic. There are lots of great things clubs can get that are excellent benefits too. It's good, John. The other pillars will be coming out in the coming months as clubs work through the complete the safe sport pillar foundation pillar. And that's true. The safe sport is the base. That's where you want to start. And they will be rolling out additional items to get your club on track. Which I think is fantastic. Ralph Ellis, who's part of our Ontario Lumbles board, says most clubs think that they are welcoming. Some are and some are not. That's absolutely true. The question is, how do you assist clubs in creating a better environment? Turnover on Ontario clubs is now 18% per year, which is not good. There are a lot of resources that clubs have available to them when they join Belonging in Bowls, so they can have it be as easy as possible, including templates and codes of conduct and policies. So there's a lot of good stuff. I think oh, go ahead.
A question I have about what Ralph said there, just the turnover rate. Do you think that the turnover rate is based on the whole, like, the whole belonging in Bulls idea, I guess, or is it just because, like, generally our demographic is older people and they just maybe can't do it, or they don't want to, or they unfortunately pass away, or they move? Because I know a lot of people move for their children when they become in their 70s and 80s and whatever else. I just out of curiosity.
Ralph may be able to talk to this, or even John or somebody else in chat, but I think you're going to get a combination of stuff. I think if you do this belonging in Bulls, you're not going to eliminate the turnover. That's just inherent in all the things that are part of sports. But I think the main point that I took out of it, and I see it at my club, and I've seen it at other clubs, where you're trying to eliminate that really big major negative experience. So someone comes into your club, joins the club, you're teaching them how to bowl, everybody's friendly, they're looking to be more a part of it, and then someone comes along and basically undercuts everything that you've done, and they're like, you're not wearing the right shoes, why are you bowling with those bowls, you can't do this, you can't do that, you're not following the rules, or you don't understand, and just hammering them with some negative stuff. And the person turns around and says, you know what, I don't want to be part of this. Yeah, basically.
It reminds me a lot, I'm sure you probably went through something similar, Daryl. It reminds me a lot of when I was a kid in the sport, when I was young. And for whatever reason, some of the older folk just did not want kids to play.
Mhm.
Like I remember our leagues used to have like sort of like a draft, and me and my brother would always get picked last. And I remember we would go to the novice event here in Ontario, and we would get told we couldn't practice throwing drives in practice, or when we were playing, we had complaints because one person's socks were a different color, just like the most ridiculous stuff. And it was simply because we were kids, and it was obvious because there was other people who didn't have the same problems that were doing the same thing.
Yeah. And that's exactly it, right? Like it doesn't necessarily have to apply to kids. It could apply to anything.
Anybody, yeah, for sure.
And yeah, you don't want that negative experience. Like for us, we stuck through it. We really enjoy the sport, and that's why we're here. But for a lot of people, they would just say, "Yeah, forget this. I'm gonna go and play. Maybe I'll go try the curling club, or maybe I'll go play something else, or just stick to my pickup games of basketball on the weekends, or whatever it is." Uh, it it's tough. You can do 100 things right, and you do one thing wrong, and it just ruins everything. So you want to try to reduce those negative impacts as much as possible. Make your club safe, so you're not being a danger to anybody. You're showing that you're following rules, and kids and older people can come and be safe. And you want to be inclusive, so you're welcoming to every culture, every religion, every type of person out there, so that people don't feel isolated. Like I'll say it, like our sport is heavily white, and how do we change that so that we get our entire community involved and not just a subsection, and make it look like we're not just this white person club out here in the community doing what we do. We are welcoming of everybody, which I know for my club we are, but the perception isn't out there. So how do we turn that around and just make it such an inclusive sport? Because I think it could be such a great sport in Canada if it just got the right momentum behind it.
I'm not entirely sure what the process was. I don't know if it had a lot to do with Tiger Woods being the athlete, but I know golf was very similar, where it was all white. Back in the day, blacks weren't allowed. I don't know how it worked with other nationalities and races, but I'm sure it was just as heavily frowned upon at the time. So I think if we follow some sort of golf motto or model and see how that goes, I think it's got to be sort of helpful.
Yeah. Inviting your friends out, inviting people out just to see the sport and understand it's a sport just like any other sport. Everybody can play. The club isn't this elite club membership. And I think this leads to another point that we were talking about earlier. Membership, right? I think membership has now become a detractor rather than something good for the club. There's the money. Exactly. We rely so much on membership for money into the club. That $100 you pay, or even more, if you're at one of the higher end clubs, I'll say. We rely on that money to keep our club going, where there's people coming in, and especially younger generations, that you kind of tell them, okay, well, now you have to sign up for a year membership. And it doesn't matter that it's the cheapest sport around. It doesn't matter that it's inexpensive for an entire year of the sport. I don't want to sign up for a membership. I don't want another membership. I just want to come, just like golf or anything else. I want to come, play some bowls, have a drink at the bar, and leave. I don't need membership to LBA. I'm not going to go to the Nationals. I'm not looking to have my own locker at the club or anything special. I just want to come and play, pay my $20 for a round or $30 for a round, and that'll be it. I don't care if I pay a lot more for the entire year. I could pay $300 because I come multiple times during the year, but I want that ability to say, I'm not going to come, or I'm going to come. I don't want to feel like I'm a member.
There is absolutely no reason why bowls can't be like going and playing alley bowling, where you go rent a lane for an hour or whatever it is, and you pay your $10 a player, and you get a pair of you get a pair of shoes. But in this case, it'd be a set of bowls. Every club has a million sets of bowls. It doesn't matter what size they are necessarily. People are just going to try and have fun and play. I think that also goes back to the thing we've talked about so much in the past, Daryl, of having your club being a business rather than a club.
Yeah.
Just because, like, if people can only show up when there's something going on, it's going to be a little harder. I realize that's probably the only time people are going to show up now, but I mean, down the road it might be a little different. But yeah, just like alley bowling and golf, where I don't want to pay. For example, golf, it's one of the most expensive sports around. I'm not good at golf. Why do I want to go pay $2,000 or whatever it's going to cost me to go play, get a membership, and then I gotta buy my clubs and my golf balls and everything else on top of that, when I want to just go hit 40 balls into the woods, shank a few into the water, and get drunk and drive my golf cart around and go home. Like, I think there's opportunities in bowls to be like that. I mean, maybe not get drunk and drive your golf cart around. That's a different story, but
No, but it's a fair example. I mean, just like you, I'm a terrible golfer, but I do enjoy going out there a couple times a year, shanking a bunch of balls out there, and just having a good time with my friends, and not care about the clubhouse. I don't care about what's going on. I don't care about the events. I don't care about qualifiers and all this other stuff that the elite golfers are looking at. I just want to go out and have some fun. And the golf club's making a ton of money off of people like me that just come out on the weekends, rip a few, have a bunch of beers at the club, and leave.
yeah. And I think what lawn bowling clubs don't understand is, yeah, like, for example, if your membership's $100, yeah, you make $100 off Daryl. But if Daryl shows up and he's not a member and shows up with 10 of his friends for an hour, they've made that $100 in the course of an hour than they made off one person in a year.
Yeah.
And that's it. And then if you have snacks and drinks, you're going to make extra money on stuff like that too.
I'll read some, catch up on a few things in chat here. So 2019 total OLBA membership money coming in was 884,000. Total grant money coming in was 900,000. Clubs have to be prepared to change more and think in different ways, and I agree with that. That's, I think, where we're going with a lot of the stuff that BCB is rolling out. I think what we talk about here on the show, we're trying to push clubs and people to think in new ways and get away from their tradition. Tradition is important. I think that we need to keep some of the core stuff in bowls there for those that really enjoy it, but we need to think and expand our view to start including other things. But there are many different concepts that are possible. I know seeing Australian bowls clubs business models with barefoot and social bowls is miles different than what we see in our Canadian model, and that's 100% correct. Barefoot bowls is huge in Australia. We should be trying to adopt some of those things here in Canada for sure.
I was just going to read the one. As per in the recent OLBA AGM, the issue of insurance needs investigation. Clubs are paralyzed by fear of doing something that isn't insured. Yeah, I get that, but at the end of the day, there's no reason why a club can't go and get insurance.
Yeah.
Or a different insurance policy. I've never been part of a board. I really don't know how that works, but I just don't. In my personal opinion, I don't see it being that difficult.
Yeah. So Ross, we can accommodate almost anything in the insurance as long as the insurer is informed. So I think it's one of the main things is planning ahead. Okay. Mm-hmm. Get that strategic plan going where a lot of clubs don't. Where do we want to be in 5 years? We want our membership to be X amount. We want our income to be X amount. We want to have a bar, or we want to expand our bar, or we want to have different programs. Plan that out and then deal with OLBA, BCB, and the insurer to figure out what you can do and how you can get there, and start pushing forward. Start changing things up. Be different. I tell my players in coaching all the time, it's like, if you want to be the best bowler that you can be, if you want to be the best in Canada, you can't do what everybody else is doing. You have to think outside the box. You have to be inventive, and you have to look for the ways that people are missing the boat and get in there and do those things that people just don't see, and be that better. And the clubs are the same. Look for those opportunities that people just aren't keying in on. Every community is a little different, but there's things that you guys can do to really make your club start booming again. And I think Bulls has a great opportunity to just really reinvent itself and come out of the gates with a good run on.
I think especially just with the times that we're living in, with so many things being closed and Bulls being potentially one of the things that can be. I'm drawing a blank here, Daryl. What's the word I'm looking for? It can be something that we can play even during COVID. Just because you don't really have to hold hands with your partner or lick windows or anything like that. So, yeah, you know what I'm saying.
I do. Yeah, we're a safe sport. We can social distance easily. We don't have to use every single rink. We can, we can space ourselves apart. We can play singles and pairs. We don't have to play fours. We can make modifications to our sport to make it safer during these times. And then when things start getting back to normal with vaccinations and we can start seeing each other again and socializing with each other a little bit more, we can get back to the normal run of Bulls. But we still want that ingenuity and that creativity to say, let's stop working on this membership model. Membership is great and we want to promote it, and it's another avenue for us, but let's get these social Bulls events going on. Let's get these beer leagues going on and have people come in once a week or twice a month and have a great time and just get that money in the club.
And there has to be a way for every club to do it. Like, for example, we've talked about these things in the past. Like, look at the one that goes on at the new Tanawam Bulls Club in Saskatoon. They have the biggest beer league. I don't know what's called, but let's call it a beer league. The biggest beer fun league I've ever heard of or seen in Canada. And I'm pretty sure most of those people aren't members, and they have a waiting list to get in on this league, which is absolutely nuts to think of.
Ralph says the motivation from Bulls comes one, the desire to belong to a community of friends, and that's a huge part of why I play. Like, I love competition, and I'm obviously a coach. I played on the national team. My motivation was I want to hit that top level as much as possible. I want to be competitive, but at the end of the day, if I didn't have that, my motivation is to be out there with my friends. I met Luke through Bulls, and we're great friends now, and I wouldn't give that up for the world. Mike Batuli, I mean, I've seen him around every once in a while. Over this last year, we've become great friends. It's an amazing community, and it's an amazing thing to be a part of, whether you're young or old. Meeting new people, going to different places, doing something that you enjoy and can socialize with, and then go and have a beer afterwards. It's amazing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Your dad chiming in there. You remember your school bus days, Luke? Windows?
I don't remember licking any windows, but yeah.
Well, I hope you didn't lick any windows.
That wasn't my forte.
Well, I think we've beaten this topic to a pulp. What do you think?
I think so.
This was a great conversation, though, and people in chat, guys, and ladies, we love to see the chat moving. We love to get information from you guys, questions from you guys. If you guys have things that you want to talk about, if you have information to pass on, if you have things like Ralph and John and Pierre and Regal Portraits, they're asking questions and they're putting in information. That's what we want to see on the show. We have topics that we talk about, but we want to talk about what you guys want to talk about ultimately.
Absolutely.
I don't know that I have anything else to chat with you about, man.
I don't have much either. I mean, I would like to go a little longer, but I don't think I have anything to talk about. Bulls has been, like we've said over the last 2 years, Bulls has been pretty, lame. With nothing to talk about. It's hard, but
there's a lot of stuff going on in Australia. if you're on YouTube, if you're on Facebook, go and check out some of those live streams. Get that taste for bowls again. Get that passion for it. Think about what you guys can do for your club. Think about what you guys can do to get friends and family out there on the greens to really pump up the sport coming out of the pandemic. I think we have an opportunity to become a sport that can demonstrate we can do things safely. We can be a bigger part of our communities. We can really be inclusive and diverse and a positive place for people to come and just be social and to make friends. I think it's great. So
Karaoke by the Canadian Bowler crew, Canadian Bowls crew. I mean, I'm not gonna spoil it, but me and Mike Patulli do have a very, very good idea regarding a Christmas album around bowls. So who knows if that's gonna happen or not? But probably.
good suggestion. Perhaps explain how to enter a question in the chat room, as many may not know. So Luke, you might be on the YouTube page right now. I don't know.
Yeah, I can go through this. So you do have to create an account on YouTube to write, but YouTube is owned by Google. So if you have an email address that's on, I think, nearly any platform, I think Hotmail works, Gmail works, probably anything except for like some of the more personalized ones. If it's like a local internet providers, whatever, all you have to do is log in and you can type in the chat. Like, for example, I could be like, I can write hi in the chat and it comes up as me. There's a chat room on the side of the page. If you look to the right, it'll say top chat and it has a little chat box and it just says say something. And all you have to do is write in the chat. It's pretty straightforward. If you don't know, the hardest part's probably just logging in, because if you don't log in, I don't think you can write.
Yeah. And that's a good explanation. Logging in and doing that also gives you the ability to subscribe and to like our videos. Subscription just means that you've got us kind of earmarked as one of your favorite channels.
It's like a follow. It's not really a subscription.
Yeah. So they say subscribe, but really, yeah, you're just following so that based on those things that you're subscribed to, your notifications come up and say, hey, you know, Canadian Bowler's going live today or tomorrow. And oh, hey, Canadian Bowler has a new video out that you might be interested in. And that's what we're asking you guys to do, to follow us, to check out our content, and to be part of this community. And that's really it. Be part of the community. That's what we want.
Yeah, and a big part of why I say hit that notification bell. If you don't watch YouTube videos or go browse through YouTube on the regular, I believe you get emails. So if you check your email often, then you'll be able to see that from there.
Yeah, and again, guys, we appreciate it. We appreciate it so much. We know that our demographic is not necessarily the most technologically advanced demographic, but anybody that you can share it to, anybody that you can get involved, we don't want to just reach out to bowlers. We want to reach out to those non-bowlers who may be on the fence about joining and being part of this. We want them to feel inclusive or included in this sport. We want to show them how great this sport is and how great this community is, and dispense information that they may not know. We're hoping that by expanding this further and further and further and getting more subscribers and more people joining the videos, that we can make this a big show, talk about some amazing things, and actually make some positive change in the community for everybody.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Daryl, I think it's time to wrap her up, because I don't know what else we could talk about. But I think it was a great show today. We had lots of interaction from the chat, awesome, as we love. We've been begging for that for weeks and weeks. So I guess it's time to wind down episode number 29 of the Canadian Bowler Podcast. If you haven't already, guys, remember to hit follow, like, subscribe, all that fun stuff. You can find all of our links down below. All the stuff down below, Facebook, Twitter, all the links to the stuff we talked about today are all down there. If you missed the first part of the show, this video will be live on YouTube within, I believe it's minutes or hours of when we wrap this up. We're also available on all major podcast platforms, including Spotify and Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, all the big ones. So we're out there, guys. Thanks a lot for tuning in. Whoever's still here, I appreciate it. I don't know. I'm assuming Daryl will have one more show on the Canadian Bowler before he takes his little hiatus.
Hope so.
Again, happy Mother's Day to all the mothers out there.
Happy Mother's Day.
Enjoy your Sunday. And until next time, guys, I hope all your bowls are touchers.